Hello and welcome. In this video, we will learn how to deploy Palo Alto Networks VM series on the Nutanix NC2 in AWS. It is essential to have my Nutanix account for this setup. From the account page, scroll down to Nutanix Cloud Cluster section and click on Launch. This takes you to the page to deploy cluster in the cloud environment. From here, click on Add Cluster and select General Purpose Cluster. Here, we do not have any cloud account added. Hence, as a first step, we will add the AWS account. Specify the account ID. IAM roles and permissions are required to deploy the cluster. To make sure the right permissions exist, you can deploy the CloudFormation template available here. This cross-launches the AWS console for the CFT deployment. Click on Create Stack. Once the CFT deployment completes, you can verify the connectivity. Click on Add Account. Once the cloud account is successfully added, you can start creating NC2 cluster on the added account. Click on Create Cluster and select General Purpose Cluster. In the Create Cluster flow, start by specifying a cluster name. Select the added AWS account. Select the region where the bare metal clusters need to be deployed and click on Next. In the Software section, select NCI as the licensing option and leave the versions as default. Click on Next. In the next page, select the size of the bare metal server. By default, 3 hosts gets deployed. Next, specify the VPC where the deployment should happen. You can create a new VPC in the region or use an existing one. Specify the subnet block to be used. You can create and download a new key for SSH access to VMs or use an existing one. Select Access Policy to be public to have public IP assigned to the VMs and click Next. In the next section, define the size of the Prism Central. Make a note of the default username and password and click Next. Verify the summary in the end and click Create to start the cluster deployment. The cluster deployment may take some time. Once the cluster state shows running and Prism Central shows is ready, we are ready to move to the next step. From AWS console, you will notice the bare metal servers deployed and running in the VPC. Launch the Prism Central in a new tab. Enter the default login and password. You are required to change the default password. From here, go to VM page from Home menu. Before we deploy the VM series firewall, we need to create the subnets to be used by the firewall. Let us create the subnets from the AWS console. We will create 3 subnets for management, trust, and untrust zones. After creating the subnets from the AWS console, map these cloud subnets in the Prism Central for the 3 zones. You can specify the static or DHCP configuration. Let us create the VM. Select Create VM option. Provide a name and specify the vCPU and memory for the image. Next, add the network adapters for the 3 subnets we created earlier. Save the changes. You would notice PAVM shown as red, which means it is still not online. Let us now upload the QCOV image of VM series to the disk. Navigate to Image Configuration under Settings for this task. You can upload the image from local machine or provide a URL. Upload begins once you save the configuration. Once the image is uploaded successfully, update the PAVM we created earlier to pick the image from the disk. Save the changes. Select the VM and scroll down to the bottom of the page. From here, select Power On option. The VM status shows as green now. You can launch the console of the firewall from the Launch Console option. Enter the default admin credential and change the password on the firewall. You can now enable the management access of the firewall. Commit the changes. You can also view the configuration of the firewall from the console. Let us now assign a public IP to the management interface. We can do a search of the ENI using the IP of the management interface. From the AWS console, make a note of the management ENI. Allocate an elastic IP and assign this IP to the management ENI. Choose the private IP address and click Allocate. Make sure the security group has inbound connection for access allowed. If not, add a rule to allow access for the source IP. You can now access the VM series from Management IP. You can create policies and configuration from the firewall UI. To summarize, we saw how you can create the Nutanix NC2 cluster from Prism Central, deploy VM series, and from there on, provide other networking configuration from AWS console. Thank you for watching.